Okay, so let's do the guided practice from 4.4. You guys had a lot of problem with 4.4, so I'm going to decided to put a couple problems up. Okay, we did this problem in class. Okay, first, we need to somehow, let's see, simplify this. It's all a mess. So we have a 4 here and a -8. We can combine those. So we have -2 square root of -4x minus 16 minus 4. Now, the coefficient of x is not 1, it's -4, so we need to factor that out. So we have -2, the square root of -4, and then x plus 4 minus 4. Now, we have it in the form y equals a square root of b, and then x minus h plus k. Okay, so let's go ahead and first identify our vertex. Our vertex is -4, -4. So original function, the parent function looks like this with a vertex of 0, 0. Okay, so that tells us that the translation was left 4 and down 4, because that's our new vertex. Now, let's look at the transformations. Let's look at the a value. What's the a value? The a value is -2. Okay, first, we know that a is less than 0, so that means that this function from the parent function reflected off of the x-axis. Okay, now also the absolute value of a equals 2, so the absolute value of a is greater than 1, so that is a vertical stretch. Okay, now if that's still confusing, I made a video about that. Okay, it was a pretty long video. You need to watch that over 4.4. Okay, basically, if you draw something like this, the parent function, that's the parent function in the middle, and this one will have a 1/2, either for its a value or for its b value. It doesn't really matter, and that'll have a 2. And if it's the a value, then we have to take the vertical rod to that parent function, and when we squeeze it in, it becomes a vertical compression, and then when we let it go, it becomes a vertical stretch. So that's where the stretch comes from. So it widens. Okay, now the b value, b equals -4, and b is also less than 0, so which means it reflected off of the y-axis, and that, guys, that's going to come from the horizontal, and horizontal, let me use a different color, it's going to attach to this parent function, and the absolute value of b equals 4. The absolute value of b is greater than 1, so it's going to be above the parent function, so it's going to be this one right here. So when we do that, it becomes, we're bringing it closer to that y-axis. We're bringing this closer to the y-axis. So that becomes a horizontal compression. Okay? Now, last but not least, we have to find the domain of this. We have to find the domain of this. I'm going to go ahead and erase this right here. Okay? Let's see what happened. Now, it's not going to matter whether or not, compression means narrow. It's not going to matter whether or not the vertical stretch or the vertical compression, horizontal stretch, that does not affect domain. Whether the function gets narrow or if it gets wider, that does not affect domain or range at all. What does affect domain and range is the reflections. The reflections, oh no! that was a vertical. What affects it are the reflection. So we started out here like that with that parent function, and then we went to this with a new vertex, -4, -4. And then when it gets reflected off of the x-axis, let's go ahead and I'm going to, when it gets reflected, I need more room. What am I supposed to do? Okay, let's go ahead and draw it up here. Okay, so here is the function with the vertex at -4, -4. When it gets reflected off of the x-axis, it's going to look like that. And it's no longer going to look like that, but the vertex does not change. Now, if it gets reflected off the y-axis, oh, I need more room. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and erase this right. Oh, no. I'm going to go ahead and erase this right here. When it gets reflected over the y-axis, then it's going to get reflected like this. But that does not change the vertex. The vertex is still -4, -4. Okay, so let's look at the domain, because that's the final product. This is this function, basically. It'll look like that. Okay, let's look at the domain. The domain is x is less than or equal to -4. It's going to go that way. Okay, and we can write that as -infinity, because we do left, then right, and it contains the -4. And range is y is less than or equal to -4, because it's going to start here and go down. Okay, so once again, we do down first, or bottom, and then we do top for the interval notation. So that is our final answer, guys. It's so easy and so very colorful, and I finally got my cup of coffee, so I'm very happy. Okay?